In the shadows of South Asia, a silent empire thrives, where crime, money, and power collide. Pakistan's underworld isn't just thugs and extortionists, it's billion-dollar kingpins, global cartels, and shadowy tycoons who move drugs, launder fortunes, and influence governments. From Karachi's alleys to Dubai's skyscrapers, from Afghan poppy fields to European banks, their reach is everywhere. Today, we reveal the 5 richest and most powerful crime lords in Pakistan, and how they built empires hidden in plain sight.
5. The Chotu Gang, the river pirates of Pakistan. Estimated wealth tens of millions. In the lawless Kachar region of southern Punjab, the name Chotu once inspired pure terror. Ghulam Rasool, better known as Chotu, built his gang not in city streets, but along the winding islands of the Indus River, a natural fortress where police feared to tread. The dense forests, hidden waterways, and shifting terrain made it the perfect hideout, a place where law enforcement was blind and criminals could rule like kings. The Chotu gang became infamous for kidnappings, ransom deals, and ambushes. They looted convoys, trafficked arms, and demanded payments from anyone who dared to pass through their territory. Their hideouts were stocked with heavy machine guns, RPGs, and even anti-aircraft weapons. Firepower far beyond the reach of ordinary police. For locals, daily life meant survival under Chotu's shadow. Traders, villagers, and transporters often had to pay protection money simply to move freely. For years, the gang ruled with impunity, turning the Kachar belt into their kingdom. Their fortune, built on ransom money and smuggling routes, was hidden in weapons stockpiles, gold, and property bought through intermediaries. Chotu's men were fiercely loyal, bound by blood ties and promises of wealth, and they operated like a militia more than a gang. Even when the state sent police task forces, they were repeatedly repelled with casualties, forcing the government to escalate. In 2016, their empire met its end in a massive military operation. Hundreds of commandos, supported by armored vehicles and helicopters, stormed the islands in a siege that lasted days. Cut off, outnumbered, and surrounded, Chotu finally surrendered, his gang dismantled.
4. Uzair Jan Baloch and the Liari Gang, Karachi's warlords. Estimated wealth, hundreds of millions. In Karachi, the Liari district has long been a city within a city, chaotic, violent, and controlled by its own warlords. At the center of it all was Uzair Jan Baloch, the most feared gangster of his generation. The Liari Gang's wealth came from drugs, extortion, kidnappings, and arms smuggling. But Uzair was more than just a street boss. He was a businessman in crime. He invested millions into luxury real estate in Dubai and Muscat, building a secret portfolio of villas and apartments. Intelligence reports later revealed he even had links to Iranian intelligence, feeding information in exchange for protection. At its peak, the Liari gang controlled entire neighborhoods. They collected taxes from businesses, dictated who lived and who died, and fought bloody wars against rival factions. Politicians courted Uzair's loyalty, granting him protection in exchange for votes and muscle. Liari itself became a fortress. Narrow alleys turned into killing zones, where snipers perched on rooftops and bunkers were dug beneath houses to store weapons and cash. Children grew up learning the sound of gunfire before the sound of school bells. For the people of Liari, Uzair was both a curse and a savior, a man who ordered killings in the morning and distributed food rations by evening. His gang financed local football clubs, handed out charity during Ramadan, and even organized community weddings, weaving themselves into the fabric of daily life. By the early 2010s, Uzair's reach stretched far beyond Karachi. His network extended into Balochistan, the Gulf, and parts of Iran, where his smuggling operations found safe harbor. Millions flowed through Hawala channels, and his name became a currency of fear. When Uzair was arrested in 2016, his wealth and secrets shocked the nation. Bank accounts abroad, properties across the Gulf, and confessions of political collusion painted the picture of a man who had turned gangland brutality into a global financial network. Even today, fragments of the Liari gang continue to operate, ensuring Uzair's empire never fully disappears. The story of Uzair Jan Baloch is not just one of crime, but of power power, the kind of power that can bend politicians, terrify governments, and turn one of Karachi's poorest districts into the headquarters of an empire worth billions. His rise and fall remain a chilling reminder of how easily a city can be held hostage when the lines between politics and organized crime blur.
3. Pakistan's heroin cartels, the Afghan connection. Estimated wealth $1 to $2 billion per year. If there is one river of money that has flowed endlessly through Pakistan's underworld, it is heroin. Since the early 1980s, Pakistan's proximity to Afghanistan, the world's largest producer of opium, has made it the perfect gateway for the global drug trade. What began as scattered smuggling routes during the Soviet-Afghan War quickly evolved into an organized industry, operated not by petty criminals, but by entire tribes and families who built dynasties out of narcotics. Heroin barons from the Baloch, Mari, and Jadgal clans perfected the craft. Their business model was simple, yet staggering in scope. Purchase Afghan heroin in bulk, move it discreetly through Baluchistan and Sindh, load it onto ships via Karachi and Gwadar ports, and send it flowing into markets across the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. A single consignment could yield millions. At the height of their power, these syndicates were moving product worth an estimated $2 billion a year, money that rivaled the foreign exchange reserves of entire states. The sheer size of the profits created an entire shadow economy. Gold markets in Dubai became laundromats for dirty cash. Offshore havens in the Caribbean and Europe held accounts stacked with drug money. And within Pakistan, investments seeped into trucking fleets, shipping lines, fisheries, construction projects, and even luxury real estate. On the surface, these were respected businessmen. Behind closed doors, they were the architects of an empire of powder. Their reach extended far beyond smuggling. These cartels forged uneasy alliances with arms dealers and militant groups, creating a lethal triangle where drugs paid for weapons, weapons enabled wars, and wars guaranteed the flow of narcotics. In border towns and coastal villages, entire communities depended on this trade for survival, making the cartels as powerful as the state itself. Local politicians courted their favor, bureaucrats were brought into silence, and law enforcement often looked the other way, either out of fear or complicity. Even today, Pakistan's heroin cartels remain a ghost economy, hidden from the public eye, yet deeply embedded in the machinery of power. They are strong enough to influence political outcomes, fund insurgencies, and maintain networks that span continents. In the underworld ledger of Pakistan, heroin has never just been a drug. It has been currency, diplomacy, and survival all at once. Altaf Khanani, the launderer of the world. Estimated wealth moved $14 billion per year. If cocaine was Darko Saric's kingdom in the Balkans, then money laundering was Altaf Khanani's empire in Pakistan. For decades, Khanani ran what US investigators called the largest underground bank in the world. His name was whispered in intelligence circles from Washington to Riyadh, and his shadow stretched from Karachi's currency bazaars to Dubai's glass towers. From his twin bases in Karachi and Dubai, Khanani built a financial machine so vast and efficient that it became indispensable to global crime. He perfected the Hawala system, an informal money transfer method rooted in trust and secrecy, and supercharged it into a trillion-dollar pipeline. Billions in dirty money flowed through his hands each year, quietly transformed into clean wealth. Drug cartels in Mexico and Colombia, terror groups like Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and even rogue states looking to dodge sanctions, all found in Khanani the same thing: reliability. He could shift millions across continents in hours. No paperwork, no trails, just coded phone calls and trusted couriers. At his peak, US officials estimated Khanani's empire moved $14 billion annually, but that figure only scratched the surface. His empire was built on layers of front companies, real estate firms in Dubai and Malaysia, import-export businesses trading in steel, electronics, and textiles, currency exchanges in Karachi, and shell companies hidden behind nominee directors in offshore havens. Through these, he laundered the proceeds of heroin shipments, arms deals, terror funding, and corporate fraud. In Pakistan, his influence was such that politicians courted him, bureaucrats feared him, and police chiefs pretended he didn't exist. Khanani himself lived like royalty. In Dubai, he occupied penthouses overlooking the Burj Khalifa. His family drove fleets of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces, attended elite schools, and held foreign passports that allowed them to move freely, while their patriarch fueled wars and violence from the shadows. The more attention Western agencies paid to him, the more he cloaked himself in legitimacy. His businesses sponsored community events. His firms employed thousands, and his money touched everything from construction projects to shipping lines. But in 2015, the illusion cracked. The US DEA, working with Australian and UAE authorities, orchestrated a sting that lured Khanani into a trap. He was arrested, extradited to America, and eventually jailed. His fall was celebrated as one of the biggest blows against global money laundering in decades. Yet investigators admitted that cutting off the head didn't kill the body. His vast network, cousins, sons-in-law, loyal lieutenants, survived. Many of his companies quietly changed names, and his family continued operating from Karachi and Dubai, ensuring billions still moved in the dark without detection.
Khanani was not just another white-collar criminal. He was the hidden banker of the underworld, the man who stitched together drug lords, terror groups, and corrupt states into one financial web. If heroin and cocaine were the lifeblood of global crime, Khanani was the beating heart that kept it circulating. Even behind bars, his legacy endures, a shadow economy built on trust, secrecy, and blood money. Dawood Ibrahim and D Company, the ghost kingpin. Estimated wealth, $6.7 billion. At the very top of Pakistan's criminal hierarchy sits a name that resonates far beyond Karachi or Mumbai, a name that has become synonymous with the shadow world of crime. Dawood Ibrahim. What began in the back streets of Mumbai as a petty gangster hustling through rackets of smuggling and extortion evolved into the making of a criminal empire so vast and so intricate that few syndicates in the modern era can rival it. Dawood was not merely another outlaw who stumbled into wealth. He was a strategist, a visionary of the underworld, who transformed street violence into a transnational business model. After fleeing India in the early 1990s, he settled in Karachi, where whispers suggest he enjoyed the quiet comfort of state protection. His operations were as diverse as they were profitable. Drug trafficking, arms smuggling, human trafficking, real estate investments, match fixing, extortion rackets, and black market gold trading. Each arm of his empire was carefully woven into the fabric of global commerce. His personal fortune is estimated at $6.7 billion, though insiders believe the true figure is far higher. That kind of wealth brought him not only power, but also myth. Stories of his lavish lifestyle became legend. Villas in Karachi's Clifton district, guarded like fortresses. Estates in Dubai built like palaces. Fleets of luxury cars imported under false names, and rumors of private parties attended by businessmen and politicians alike. But what truly sets Dad apart is not only the scale of his fortune, but the scope of his influence. He was more than a criminal overlord. He became a figure of geopolitical importance. The United Nations, the United States, and Interpol have all named him a global terrorist. He has been accused of orchestrating the 1993 Mumbai bombings, financing extremist outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba, and using his network to move money for militant groups across South Asia and the Middle East. His reach is not simply financial. It is cultural, psychological, symbolic. Dawood has become an icon of the hidden empire, a reminder that in the shadows of power, there are men who are beyond the grasp of courts, beyond the reach of governments. From Karachi's war-torn alleys to Dubai's glittering towers, from the poppy fields of Afghanistan to offshore banks in the Caribbean, these five empires show how Pakistan's underworld has built a fortune that rivals its legitimate economy. Their money is not just wealth, it is power. It buys silence, fuels wars, and shapes politics. And in a country where the line between state, business, and crime often blurs, these billion-dollar barons remind us of one unspoken truth. In the shadows, crime is not just survival. It is empire.